Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, whatever, King What If. Anyways, part 2 of what exactly was the Fire Force Reaper, because I still can't pronounce his name. I think his name is Koruno or something. Anyway, where we last left off, Deku burnt his hand severely, saving Bakugo from the sludge villain, and All Might wasn't around. So, uh, I think I'll just make Deku. Deku's attitude will just be the same. It's just gonna be Deku with these powers, okay? And Bakugo doesn't like Deku because he still protected that one kid, and Deku still beat that kid up because he was angry. You know. Anyway, basically, there was this 10-month time skip, and during this 10-month time skip, Deku would Deku would decide to get a job. Now, Deku's dad isn't going to be a bum in this version, and I'm gonna say he actually owns, uh, he's not, he does, yeah, he actually owns a medium-sized business, like Kmart or something. But it's not like Kmart, it's a corporation designed to study quirks, and Deku just starts to work there. And, you know, basically what this does is it goes in depth in quirks, and it's like, the one of those apps, like, one of those, like, people who are, one of those companies are like, we can tell you what your baby is before it's born. Basically, they can study and tell what type of quirk your baby will have before it's born, basically. And they can also see if you're eligible for a quirk awakening. And Deku starts to work there just to make pocket change. And Deku does a few tests, and it turns out he's eligible for a quirk evolution or awakening. But his dad tells him that even if you are eligible, that doesn't mean it'll happen. Anyway, Deku trains for 9 months, and basically what he learns is he learns to do multiple things, like use his. Basically now he knows how to like go into his shadow, go into his smoke, and just move around. You know, just he can just do multiple things, new things with his smoke. So the UA entrance exam comes up, and Deku walks through the front gate, like happy. And then, Bakugo just tells him to move out the way. Because Bakugo feels a little bit more guilty in this version. Because Deku's hand is completely burnt. Again, hand looks like this. His hand looks like the hand in the picture. Now what I want to know, is he completely burnt to his elbow or to his shoulder? I'm guessing it's to his elbow. Anyway, yeah, Deku's hand is completely burnt, but he can still move it. So the Bakugo does feel a little bit bad, but Bakugo, he's not really gonna show much of it. Anyway, they walk in as Deku sees President Mike, and they're sort of the same, exchange at this moment. And Deku's dressing and such, and he sees a girl who's, looking like she's having some trouble. So, Deku doesn't do anything because they never met. As basically, the test is about to start, as President Mike says, whatever he said, and nobody moves. And then he says, go on, there's no countdowns in a real battle. So everyone starts to run. Now, basically, as you'd expect, Ito would be the first one flying, because apparently he's the only person. He's the only freshman at UA with a speed quirk, because in the sports festival, despite the fact that there were probably hundreds of kids there, not one of them had a speed quirk. The only person who came close to a speed quirk was Monoma. The fact he could copy quirks. And I just find that kind of weird. Like, they should have mixed more in this. Anyway, sorry. As they start running now, everybody would start going their separate ways, and Deku would go their separate ways too. As Deku would see a robot, and seeing this robot, Deku Deku would Deku would make a hammer out of smoke. He lift this hammer up as he would slam it on the robot, and he'd slam it 2 times, destroying it. Okay, that was a 2-point robot, Deku would say as he'd run to go see more robots. Seeing robots as he'd slam them with hammers, he would then make spears out of smoke, and he would actually want to test how strong they were really. So he would punch the robot as he'd actually dent it, as he'd be like, so these robots aren't that strong. It makes sense. Not everybody has strong quirks. So if they were to, make them super tough, like not people with different type of quirks can really pass. And Deku would then cover his hand with smoke as he'd punch through the robot. Deku's actually been training with this. As Deku starts to move more and more, and he's just destroying robots with his spear and hammer and kunai. And, Deku's like any other robots. And as he says this, a robot comes up behind him and he says, got one. But it gets destroyed by Ayama's belly button. As Ayama's like, sorry, I thought you were in danger. As he'd run away, Deku would say, that guy's weird. Anyway, 8-minute mark reaches, and, everybody's tired, including Deku. And Deku starts to breathe heavy, because he's tired. And then a giant explosion happens, and everybody looks behind them, or in front of them, or depending which way you're standing, as the 0-point robot stands up. And the 0-point robot, starts walking. But Uraraka's there, and she has a robo trapped on her. And she can't use her quirk because she's tired. You know? Wait, was there rubber trapped on her, or was it just she was tired? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know no, there wasn't anything on her. I think she was just tired. Or there was a robot on her. I don't know. Yeah, there was a robot on her. Anyway, Deku would be the only one as Deku would run and Deku would jump up high. Using a katana, he'd start to spin as he'd put both hands on his katana, setting it on fire, as he'd slice the robot's head off. As Deku would be falling, he would he would basically like thinking how he's gonna get out of this. Deku remembers when he jumped, he used his smoke, so maybe he can double jump in midair. As Deku falls, he double jumps as he lands, but he sort of twists his ankle. Now he sees Uraraka, and she's on top of the robot, so she's fine. Despite like, like the question I have is, if Uraraka used her quirk twice in this moment, so why didn't she just use her quirk to get her out of this? If she was that tired, but she used her quirk twice, on the robot and on Deku. So I just don't understand why she was trapped in the first place. Anyway, let's continue. Yeah, Deku. The cover girl would come as, you know, cover girl would come through as she'd see Midoriya first. And she'd go check on him. He'd be like, is that a twisted ankle? Just she'd kiss Deku on the cheek as Deku's ankle would start to be normal. Deku would be like, whoa. The cover girl would then walk to Uraraka, but before she did that, the cover girl would see Deku's arm, as she would just think and walk away. Anyway, I know nobody comments, but I really don't care. I guess if you want Recover Girl to heal his arm, then I guess comment anything. But I really don't care. Anyway, she healed Uraka and they go away. And here's the thing. Uraka never saved Deku, so would you have even had enough points to get into UA? Oh, this is something serious though. Comment if you do want Uraka to stay in UA. You have 1 week until this. You have until this video hits 1 week. Cause that's why I'm making part 2. Or should I replace her with somebody? Maybe from Fire Force, Tamaki. Yeah, Habana, Iris. You might be like, what's her quirk? I'll tell you. Okay, who? Like even a guy if you want. I don't know. The Lieutenant, Arthur, Shinra. No, if I put Shinra in this story, I'm putting him in Class 1B. Anyway, just comment. If you don't, if you want Uraka to be in this story, just comment. This is something. If no one comments, I'm just gonna change her character. Or comment if you want her to be a different character. Or comment if you want her to stay. Doesn't matter. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah. A week later, Deku would get his, a week later, Deku would actually get his acceptance letter into UA, and he'd read it, and he'd find out he got first place with, with 53 combat points and 60 rescue points. Deku had, Deku had gotten 113 points. Deku was excited as he told his mother. His mother would say, "Yay! Let's celebrate." And a few days later, Deku would get his hero costume application thing, and Deku would be wondering. Deku would have the perfect idea. So first, Deku will basically have these black and gray these like black and gray camo army pants. With that, Deku would just have a regular, you know, a white work shirt like this one, without the tie. And then Deku will actually have a device. And this device will basically, it'll look like a second spinal cord, but it'll be a little wider and longer. And this device will hold Deku's smoke. Okay? And then Deku on his arm, on Deku's Deku will have these gauntlets, these gloves. And on these gauntlets there's a hole on the palm. And then basically Deku can use this there's a hole on the palm which Deku can release his own smoke. You know? And the spinal thing on his back will carry Deku's smoke. Sort of like how Bane's tank can carry his venom. But this one will carry Deku's smoke. Deku would then have smoke pellets that, you guessed it, contain his smoke. Alongside with that, Deku will have some goggles. Now these will be actually X-ray goggles for him to see his. Now, actually, does he even need these? I don't know. Yeah, these will be X-ray goggles. These will be like seeing the dark goggles for him to see his his basically like the ones like Kanji has or Dix has. That's basically it. And then Deku will actually have a gray jacket on top, and it will actually sort of cover 75% of the spinal thing besides the bottom part. Alongside with that, Deku will also have a retractable weapon. Now this weapon will look like a normal stick too. It look like a normal metal stick, but it's retractable and it can retract all the way up to a staff. Now what's special about this weapon is there are things carved on the sides. And Deku can run his smoke through this weapon and he can actually form the weapon to multiple weapons and without the need of recessive smoke. You get it? And that's what Deku's hero costume will look like. And Deku turns this in. Deku goes, and Bakugo doesn't push him against the wall because, he has no reason to in this version. As Deku gets dressed, you, you know, first day of UA, Deku wakes up, brushes his teeth, take a shower, get dressed, wrap his bandages really nicely, brushes his hair. Not that part. He decides not to brush his hair. But Deku gets ready as Deku's mom's like, Izuku, do you have everything you need? As Deku says, yes, mom. You didn't just pack action figures, right? Yes, mom. Make sure not to use your arm too much. As Midori's like, come on, I have to go. As Inko's like, sorry, you can go. As Midori gets on a train and goes. Now, Midori just hopes Bakugo isn't in his class, but he walks in and sees Bakugo and Ida arguing. And I honestly don't like this part very much. So, what we're going to do is this. Oraka comes in, says hi to Deku, and they go outside. There. Now, they're outside, and Midori got first place. So, Masarazawa throws Midoriya the ball, and Midoriya has been learning how to make different shapes with his smoke. So, Midoriya plays a baseball bat with his smoke, and he hits it, and basically, it goes like, now, Midoriya also surrounds the ball with his smoke, and he hits the smoke, and it goes like 300 to 400 meters, as everybody's like shocked. Now for the running test, Midori does this normally, and he gets a little better than what he would have done in canon. For the jump test, Midori jumps high with his thing before throwing a kunai down before landing on it, so it can create like an impact, like explosive impact. Grip strength test, Midori does the same thing he did when he punched the robot, getting a good score. See his toe touches. He does good. Pull-ups, good. Actually, he does a little bad on the pull-ups just because his arm sorts of hurts. His arm sorts of hurts, so he can't do that much pull-ups as he could normally because his arm is burnt to a crisp. But he can still use it, like I said. Anyway, yeah, Yuki and Midori would have actually got in 5th place, just right after Ida. Right after Ida, Midori got in 5th place. Now, how did Momo get 1st place? I know her quirk is create, but still. If you sort of think about it, Midori's quirk and Momo's quirk are actually sort of the same. It's just that Midori can just create weapons. But Midori can just create weapons out of smoke, but Momo can create anything she wants. But Midori can do different things with his smoke than just create. Anyway, the exams would be in, and Mineta would be... Mineta would actually get expelled. I said I was going to expel him in one of my what-ifs, but I never do. This is the day he's going to be exposed. And spoiler alert, if you like Shinzo, you're going to be happy. I think that's, Shinzo. And that's where we leave off with Ida waiting for Midoriya, then Uraraka, whole Deku conversation. That's where we're gonna leave it off. Now, should I do a fun fact? Okay, Fire Force. Let me try to do a Fire Force fun fact. Let me think. Okay. I don't know if this is a fun fact, but Shinra's hobbies are breakdancing and eating ramen. I don't know if that's like a fun fact or not, but he likes those two things. Anyway, something I before I end this off, something I did notice about this power is, for the most part, this power is sort of like having a Green Lantern ring. You know, him making anything from his smoke. And if I do choose to do the Quirk Awakening, it's going to be around the time, if I choose to, it'll be around Muscular Fight. And I'm gonna have him so like he can make anything out of smoke, like motorcycles, obviously not TVs, but like motorcycles, airplanes, soldiers, inanimate people, you know. But that is if I choose, you know. Anyway, have a nice day.